Okay. So if you guys are syncing this up, we're at the Criterion Collection circle here, if you have that version of it.
Welcome to the commentary.
Yes, we are. Thank you for reminding me. We're doing a commentary, and if you're wondering who we are, I'm Mike.
It's me, Matt.
And it's Matt. Yeah, he is my co-host, and I am also a co-host on our Buddy Shots podcast that we've been doing for almost a year now, right? No, more than a year.
Well, technically, like, probably 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
In other incarnations.
If you count, like our previous incarnations. So you can look that up on our website, www.youtube.stickbowman64.com.
All right.
So if you don't have the Criterion version, we're looking at a road right now.
The opening shot.
Yeah, of the film.
What do you think of the opening credits? Since you're a big credit reviewer.
Aficionado.
Yeah.
Well, they're pretty classic, honestly.
Yeah, it sets the mood for the movie.
Yeah, they're driving up the way to the cemetery.
And we've been on this road.
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania.
It's definitely we were there years later, so but some things haven't changed. Like most of the cemetery when we were there, obviously they weren't moving around stuff there all that much. Obviously adding plots and stuff.
I didn't see any zombies.
That's true. We're still alive. This is a different version than I saw. Obviously, when I first saw it back in the day. This is the Criterion, I guess 4K. I'm assuming
it's not the 4K. It's the Blu-ray from released a few years ago. But the first version that I watched and we watched was the Elite Entertainment DVD released in 1997.
Yes.
And my one complaint about the Criterion version is they didn't include Night of the Living Bread. Come on!
I'm glad that you brought that up because that was one of the random indie things that was on that DVD that I have no clue where that even came from. It was like a parody, kind of like all the
home movie. Yeah,
parodies that came out of once Indiana Jones came out. People were making Indiana Jones home movies and stuff. But yeah, it was funny you brought that up about the movie because the first time I saw this film was when I went over to your house and you had that version. It was probably the best way that I could have seen it because it was at the time it was the best version of the film. It's the only DVD that has a that I know of that has a
prank.
Yeah, prank at the beginning because it looks like not really great quality.
It's like a fuzzy VHS version, basically.
And you were like, "Isn't this quality great?" And then it switches over and it smashes through the TV. Gotcha. And I was just like, "Okay, well, this is freaking awesome looking." And
then it comes back with the at the time amazing standard def DVD, but it was like a mind blowing image back then. It was like, this movie looks amazing.
This is definitely the best I've ever seen the film. It's ridiculous. This is
it looks great.
It's like watching it all new.
But yeah, I mean that this movie and that DVD specifically changed my life.
Yeah.
Because I never really watched horror movies growing up. Not because I wasn't allowed, but it's just not a thing that we normally did. So my dad picked up this DVD, and we were early adapters of DVD, which was
the digital video disc. Is that what it stands for?
And this movie blew my mind. It really scared me.
Yeah.
And the DVD blew my mind because this is the first time I ever heard it had commentaries, extra features, a bonus movie.
It's come full circle.
Yeah.
Because this is the first commentary, hopefully of many that we do, and I've been wanting to do for this for a long time, and I know you have too. This is a perfect film for our first because
seen it so many times.
Yeah. God, I can't get over how well this looks. It looks legit.
Night of the Living Bread is on YouTube, by the way.
So if you guys want to look up the parody, check it out. We won't stop you. So we've got Johnny, he's placing his 2-cent cross on the ground. That's something that, like, I don't know, like, I haven't been to a cemetery in a long time. Do people still put out those styrofoam crosses, I wonder?
Probably not.
Those things
it's not,
probably tend to, like,
not healthy for
evaporate, too. Actually, no, that's the problem. They don't evaporate.
Yeah.
Not only that, but, like, I mean, it's funny to look at this because it's, like, I'm sure that was, like, you know, that metal and styrofoam. It's, like, they made that and bought that, but now that would be made out of, like, plastic. Or something. I don't know. I don't know if they would sell something like that anymore, like you said, because of the environment, like just placing down crosses. Loud thunderclap.
So this is the shot that like chilled my bones.
Yeah.
To the core. Like just seeing the dude walking through the cemetery is like so scary.
And you've never recovered.
One of the most classic lines of the movie is coming up.
Yeah.
They're coming to get you, Barbara. What do you think of Barbara, played by Judith O'Day, who we had the pleasure of meeting once at a convention?
That's funny you brought that up, because I guess I'll give my answer first, and then we'll... she's legit. I mean, I think whether she would want to admit it or not, which I'm sure at that point she probably has come to terms with it if she ever had an issue with it, but she's right up there with like all the other horror movie icons as far as like women, like Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm blanking on a bunch of other people, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, although her character's not like as strong as
her character's probably like one of the worst characters in this movie, honestly. But
it's not a bad character. She's just like not able to handle the fear.
I don't know. I've always thought she was like the most boring character, but having said that, like you said, it's like it's funny because they totally like do a 180 on her character when they do like the remake.
Yeah. She becomes like Ripley, basically.
Right. But it's kind of funny because this tossle. It's like
they're really fighting.
Yeah, time for one of the greatest like
ghoul growling. Right?
Yeah, time for one of the greatest deaths in cinematic history that I totally believed.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's like when you see like two wrestlers wrestling and like
he like lays them to the ground, like lays them to rest.
Yeah, it's like
they made up for that in the remake because it's like
his head explodes.
Yeah, it's like crazy.
But it's like putting somebody down for a tombstone and their head's like between their legs, completely high up.
Yeah,
but like I was gonna say, like speaking of who we've met, who else haven't you met?
Bill Hinsman, the cemetery, the main
zombie,
I guess known as the cemetery zombie, but he was really cool.
He's like the first zombie ever on. Well, not first zombie ever on film, but the first what we would call zombies.
One of the best.
Yeah.
But it was cool to talk to him, although I still feel bad because...
Wasn't he in makeup too?
Yeah, he was. That was awesome. He asked me if I'd ever seen Flesh Eater, which is the zombie movie that he directed in the 80s.
Yeah.
And I hadn't at the time, so I replied, I couldn't lie to him. I was like, no, but I really want to. Because he was like propping up Flesh Eater, because like that was his baby, apparently. But I have seen Flesh Eater since, and it's a fun kind of... movie with some weird stuff that happens in it that's problematic.
Yeah.
But
it's like you're like, I want to, but not enough to like have seen it already.
Right. Like it's on the back burner. I'll get there eventually.
I always thought this was funny though, looking back as to where like zombies have gone. This first zombie uses like a tool like instantly. Like he grabs a brick.
And he kind of jogs a little bit.
Yeah. But of course this was like nobody knew what a zombie like
right there
was gonna be, or what it, you know, what Romero was like, hey, we're gonna like, this is the set for zombies. So you see a lot of like different actions from people in this movie. Some people act like Frankenstein monsters, some people like that, like he's jogging, like that kind of stuff.
Well, George Romero's pointed out like no one uses the word zombie in this movie, and he called them ghouls.
Right.
They just became known as zombies, and over time, that word was used in like the Romero movies. But I think that's what makes it scary is they never explain why it's happening. It just happens.
Why is this happening? Hey, Tommy, what happened? Thunder continues rumbling. So we've got the subtitles on, so as to not interfere with your viewing experience as we record this podcast.
But going back to Barbara, when we met Judith O'Day, it was really cool to talk to her because she was like super friendly and like excited to be at that convention.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Why do you guys like this movie so much?" And I didn't really know how to answer that. And then I asked her, like, does she like it?
Yeah, and
she's like, "Oh yeah, it's great." I think she mentioned like it has good characters in it, which is true.
Why do you like this movie so much? It sucks. I'm like, okay. She's like, it's in black and white. Who likes that shit? I'm like, okay, well, damn. I'm like, I watched it colorized. She's like, did you? I'm like, no. I do remember that going to like rental stores back in the day, and since this movie is like essentially shareware, anybody can put out a release of it, which is something I plan to do with this commentary. Like there were versions where people colorized it, and I never watched one of those, but I always thought that was kind of weird. But
the 30th anniversary edition is the best edition.
You want to talk about that or no?
Yeah,
I'll let you go into as much or little detail as you want.
On the 30th anniversary in '98, a new was it Anchor Bay? I forget who put it out.
Yeah, it was Anchor Bay.
Anchor Bay put out a re-release,
which Romero like wasn't involved with at all. I don't think from what you said.
But they shot and included additional footage, which basically adding new character and storyline, and it did not fit in at all. They redid the soundtrack. It sucked.
Yeah.
It ruined the movie. I mean, it was an interesting experiment, but an utter failure.
It was essentially like a paid fan edit of the film, which is weird. But
and I'll never forget Harry Knowles' review. It's one of the best reviews I've ever read. He said, "Watching this movie was worse than when I had to identify my mother's burnt corpse from when she died in a fire."
And I was like, exactly.
His chin was wet.
Good Lord, he don't like, he's like, screw laundry. He's got some good tracking skills, the zombie. I never really realized that. He follows her all the way to that farmhouse, and she, like, ran for years. So.
Yeah.
He's like, I am a teleporter.
That's another reason that makes it scary is, like, it just keeps coming.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
Wine buzzing.
It's like the Terminator, but there's, like...
Yeah.
Multiple.
Yeah. Exactly like the Terminator. They, like,
well,
repair
like,
themselves.
their relentless pursuit of our heroes.
Is shocking.
And then it became night instantly. The titular Night of the Living Dead.
He's that good. He's like, come on, guys, let's go get her. He's like, huh? How you doing there? Turns into, like,
he still had that same jacket.
Yeah. He's like, whoa, watch out there. Yeah, in the remake, it's like a lot more gory when, like, you discover certain things. It's like, I don't know, like, good Lord. But of course, this was like, oh my God.
I'm sure back in the day when people saw this, they were like, whoa!
Because people would see The Exorcist, and there were dudes and women that were like passing out when they saw I passed out. Are you going back in? Yeah. I agree.
I just have a craving for chocolate syrup now. Nestle's Quick. Because that's what they use for the blood. That or Bosco or one of those, like, chocolate sauce.
Hey, Bosco. Here we go. It's the man with the plan.
Duane Jones.
Yeah.
Captain Kick-Ass himself.
Yeah. Ben. Do you have a last name in this movie?
Nope, just Ben.
Dover. Everybody's like, that wasn't funny.
It's like, next.
Yeah, I think, like, this is one of those characters that's like, holy shit, like, this character is just so legit. I mean, he's in charge. He knows what he's doing. He knows what's what's up, and he's just kind of like saved her freaking life.
Yep. It's the kind of guy you need in a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
Like he's not
a guy named Ben.
Yeah, exactly.
With a tire iron.
Exactly.
Randomly. He's like, guys, I got a tire iron here. He's gonna start beating ass.
But yeah, Duane Jones is awesome in this movie. Obviously, at the time this was released, there was like very heightened racial tensions.
Yeah, for sure.
And this was like almost revolutionary at the time to have, you know, a black man as the lead in a movie.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like,
especially one who punches a white woman.
Yeah.
But there was really no intention originally behind it from Romero. Like, Duane Jones was just the best actor of all the people he knew. So that's why he got the lead role.
Yeah, he is legit in this, and it's like one of those things where, like, even though, like you said, there's no like intention, it's kind of like.
I mean, they obviously knew that there was like what was happening.
He's like, ooh.
They didn't set out to make a racial.
But
statement.
it's like as the movies went on, like Dawn and Day, it definitely worked out that like this first one kind of had that because it worked into that he started making them more like that with Dawn and Day, with like the political and social commentaries and stuff. Look at that old ice box, or is that not a ice box? What's he doing there? He's grabbing like
tool chest. I don't know.
He's getting the tools. Maybe, I don't know. Something's happening on the screen.
It's a good thing they found a house that just had like was filthy with nails.
Was what?
Like the nail budget.
Oh,
out of control.
That one guy's just like turned into a ghost. You met Romero, right?
Yeah.
Before he passed.
Shook his hand.
Yeah. Yeah, he's good. He seemed like a really nice guy when I met him.
If you hear people who know him talk about him, like literally everyone says what an awesome dude he was.
Yeah. That
and super smart.
Like freaking Phantom of the Opera. Rip. But like, that guy's like, what?
He's a ghoul.
Whoa! Hello.
Can you hear us?
Yes, so we were gone for a second there.
Tech dips.
Got some dude walking out of a. That looks like
this guy always
Pee Wee
creeped me
Herman.
out because like he has some weird teeth action going on. Very effective zombie.
Kind of looks like Pee Wee Herman a bit. I'm trying to think what
Na 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 na.
Oh, but yeah, Romero. I was like, when I met him, I told him that my favorite was Day of the Dead, and he's like, "That's mine too." But I don't know if he was just saying that or.
No, he's on record saying it's his favorite of the Dead movies.
He says that about everything. He's like, I'm like, man, I love Lord of the Rings. He's like, yeah, that's my favorite movie I did too. It's like, wait a minute, what? It's time.
We all know Bruiser was his real favorite.
His commentary was just taking a
wait,
turn for
that's
the
our
worse.
favorite.
I haven't seen all of his films, but as of this date of recording this, Day is my favorite of his films. What would you
It's
say?
so good.
Is this your favorite?
Probably.
It's a classic. I just got like
Knight Riders is damn good though too.
damn good. Close the door.
I like all his movies, which is why I'm kind of excited to go back and rewatch Bruiser because I think you might like it.
And we watched it, we thought it was just like trash.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, it's fun to revisit stuff after many years because I've totally forgotten everything about it.
So
Watch out for the eye movement. Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Who's your favorite character in this film?
Oh, Duane Jones.
Like the character of Duane Jones?
The character of Ben. played by Duane Jones, as previously established.
Good old Duane Jones.
He's cool. Like, when we would make zombie movies, I would always try to emulate the character of Ben, because I thought he was so cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Although ultimately, it's his folly that gets him killed, because he was ultimately wrong about kind of their plan for surviving the horror.
Time to like instantly light this guy on fire. Oh my god, he went up like hardcore. Also, he like transported to the ground from the. They were like, maybe we should do this on the ground instead of like
burning his house down.
Yeah. When we burn this corpse, it's not gonna like burn it in the middle of the house. What do you think about his cardigan sweater?
Oh, it was very dapper.
Yeah. He's like, man, that was hot.
This movie also is one of the establishers of like the survival horror genre,
right?
Which is always fun.
This is the first time that they turned the lights on again in this, or just in general in this movie, because it instantly turned to night. So it's like, it definitely gives like a bit of brevity to the rest of the film when they turn on the lights, because it kind of gives the audience like a reprieve from that kind of just all the time tension and horror that's been going on. So I think that's why I like Romero over like a lot of other horror directors or films that are created. Is like he knows when to like scare people and when to like make it about character development and about like giving the audience time to breathe, because if it's constant like thrills and chills, you become numb to it. So
yeah. So what you're saying is you're glad there's not a million jump scares in this movie?
Well, for my pants.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Romero, he's just there's always like ideas behind his movies. It's not just like purely for entertainment.
Right. He's like, the idea is I wanted to make cash. And I'm like, what?
And he failed hardcore.
Yeah, I was like, you probably should have made these films that were like...
by forgetting to copyright his movie.
That are super cult classics, but at the time...
I think he was quite bitter about that, but, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Just like Ben.
In the end, it probably was for the best, because, like, more people were able to see this movie earlier.
Yeah.
I've known about this movie my whole life. I remember when I was a real little kid, like...
When you were born, you were holding a copy of it.
Yeah, I'm like, Elite Entertainment. Released.
You were like, check this out.
Growing up, like, we'd be over at the neighbor's house with, like, all the neighborhood kids, and, like, all the older kids were going to watch Night of the Living Dead when it got dark, and I was like, I'm too scared. I'm going home.
I'm like, ain't happening.
So it's always been one of those, like, textbook scary movies.
I just thought this was kind of weird that like there would be a place where a bunch of boards were boarded up under a cupboard with a bunch of other boards. Like,
you don't have a board closet at home?
Not at the moment. We need to order one from Amazon.
But I know you're a big fan of like the idea of having to fortify your location. Like,
yeah, I mean,
it's a cool trope.
It's something that, like, not a lot of movies do well, sadly. It's a good idea, and same thing with games. It's something that can be done... It feels like it's an easy premise to do, but I guess, and a lot of times, it just doesn't happen. In a way that's satisfying, if that makes sense.
If you like nailing action, this movie's for you.
If you're a Home Depot and Lowe's fan.
Yeah.
It's like bam, 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 bam. It's a weekend warrior over here. She's like, oh god, nails are... She's getting triggered by the hammering of nails. And then she's like, I'm fine. That's okay, though. I was gonna say earlier, we were talking about like her performance and like how in the remake, like the character's essentially Ripley. That's kind of like it's like the different versions that you could go in a situation like this. You can either take it head on and go like commando and just be like, I'm taking all you bastards out, or you could, you know, you could kind of have PTSD and like, you know, she's kind of like she's kind of reverted to like a child. I think I've come around on it, man. I said I didn't like it before, but I understand it now.
Well, I like movies like this where it makes you think what you would do in this situation.
What would you do? It's one of those things.
I'd be like, I'm out.
I think a lot of people would be like, I'm Ben. You know, everybody wants to be like the guy in charge in the back. I think it depends. I think it's like if you have people you care about, like if me and you were in this situation, I think that at least I would try to do something constructive, since I want to like help you survive and stuff, since we're friends. But you know what I mean, though. Like if you have someone to survive for. And if you're alone, it's probably going to be a different situation. Like on Survivor Man and stuff, they talk about that a lot. Like, just real-world survival, if you're out there alone, is a lot harder than if you're there with somebody and you're like, well, I have to be strong for them. You know what I mean? So, that's probably a better way to explain it. But
I like the characters' plan in Day of the Dead, find an island.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You never really find out what happens with Dawn. They just like fly away, right? So, but yeah, like in Day, that seems like a pretty legit plan to me, honestly. Of course, you wouldn't want to fly to an island that has like nothing, because then you would just die. But
I love the scene where he has the monologue explaining like how he experienced the first zombie like meltdown. And like I think this kind of thing is really hard to do for an actor, because I've tried and failed in all of our zombie movies to do scenes like this.
Well, but
he's so good in this.
Yeah, we didn't really have scripts. We kind of like, you know, winged it. So people were like, "I'm the badass." Actually, I heard about that. That's bullshit. That never happened. It's like, okay, first thing of improv is to go along with what people say, not completely tell them to eat shit. But I agree. I think it's hard for an actor, or just in general a movie, to like give backstory or exposition without it feeling like forced as hell.
Yep.
That's why I think it works best when people are doing something, or they're like, you know, if you do it like when you first meet someone, it makes no sense. So like for them to have been together for at least a bit here, and they've gone through some stuff already in that house together, it makes sense why he would like kind of like start talking to her about this stuff. Not just like, hey, by the way, my name is Captain Kickass. I was walking down the street. It's like, okay, we don't need your business card right when we meet you.
Yeah, it's totally believable, and like it also paints a really good picture of like what went down at Beekman's Diner. And I think people over the years have claimed that like they've actually seen that scene, but I think it's a Mandela effect.
It's one of those things,
just based on how good of a scene this is.
Yeah, a lot of things are like that, where like people claim to be like, oh, I completely remember. Like I remember, I could have sworn there was a scene in Day of the Dead where like Dr. Frankenstein gets up and he's with Bub because he doesn't get shot in the head.
Oh, really?
It was never filmed. And I think they bring that up on the commentary. Like George Romero was like, I guess we could have filmed that. I never like, you know, even thought about that because he didn't get shot in the head, but it wasn't filmed. You know what I mean? So Dr. Frankenstein could be out there somewhere. I know in Land of the Dead, Bub is like tied up like a freaking S&M victim or something.
Yeah, and Blades comes back, Tom Savini.
Yeah.
I'm like, is it necessary?
Yeah, I was like, good lord, why is Bub being treated like this? He's like the nicest zombie, and they're like beating the absolute shit out of him. But speaking of,
who's your favorite character in this movie?
For me, I mean, I don't know. It's always probably, to me, has always been like Ben, like Duane himself. He's
I wish he would have done more movies. Like he didn't really do many movies. I think he was more of a stage actor and also like a very private person. So like, there's only a couple interviews with him that have been found over the years.
That he passed away a long time before.
Yeah, he died pretty young.
But like, yeah, I was actually gonna ask you like if he had done anything else, but yeah, it's like I don't really remember ever seeing anything or hearing about that. He was super talented though. I mean, to be able to like come across as believable in something like this, I mean, it's a goofy premise, but it ends up being played super straight and.
Yeah, 99 of 100 movies at this time were just like super cheesy and like you couldn't really point to like good performances or.
Also, this was the time when like I think like sci-fi was like, big-eyed, bug-eyed monsters from Mars kind of stuff, right? So it's like you said, it was hard to be serious about that kind of stuff. At least from what I remember in this movie, like, there are different things that they talk about where, like, when they finally turn on the TV or the radio and they've got, like, people talking about, like, the different causes. But I like the idea of, like, there are multiple causes they talk about because at the end of the day, they don't really know. Like you said, it's like, they're trying to blame it on all kinds of stuff because they're just looking for a reason why and maybe to try to fix it. But
Yep.
As time goes on, we see.
That's the mistake that so many horror movies make, is over-explaining. Takes away the fear.
Yeah, it's funny because, not to bring this up, because I know that, like, the master, Romero himself, wasn't a huge fan of this, but, like, I think that's one of the things that, like Robert Kirkman says, was his biggest mistake in the show, was letting them... Jesus. Letting them do the CDC episode very early in the first season. Essentially, like, explaining and trying to, like, put a reason behind the zombies where, like, he was like, dude, that should have never even been in the show, like, or in the comics. Like, you know what I mean? It was, like, his biggest, thing he says he wishes they would have never done or, it would have never happened. Because, like you said, I mean, just the mystery itself is better than... finding out.
Yeah. So since you brought up Walking Dead, we have to talk about the level of like on-screen violence and gore in this movie. It was off the charts. I mean, even I was shocked when I first saw it, 30 years later, like... Yeah. I've never seen intestines on screen before. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, pretty out of control.
That's the case for a lot of Romero's movies, and like, he had to release Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead unrated. Yeah. And basically sacrifice any money the movies would make so that they wouldn't be like cut up by the censors.
Of course.
But now, like, Walking Dead puts all this stuff to shame, and that shows on everyone's TV at dinner time.
It's funny because it's
like acceptable now, but it wasn't then. Yeah,
it's one of those things where like definitely like I mean a lot of stuff wasn't acceptable then that like is more acceptable now, obviously, but like that's just one of the things that like as time went on, like they were just like you were saying, like you could show like somebody getting ripped apart by a zombie, but like they're not going to show any sort of like sexual stuff.
Yeah. And that's what makes George Romero a hero, for like he wouldn't sacrifice his vision, and he would sacrifice like his career and money to put out like a movie that he wanted to make. That's why he's the man.
He's like, my sacrifice.
Bread! Night of the Living Bread.
Of shame. Ben's starting this fire. He's like, who let who? Mayor's at Pittsburgh. So this whole part where he just like destroys the shit out of this what is this, like a lazy boy chair? Yeah. He rented himself an easy boy chair. He's gonna put tax on it, and they're gonna sit on it and jump in the air. So this is kind of like the whole like at this point, like you said, it's ghouls. This is yet to be like solidified as like this is the way they act in zombies and stuff. So
right, and you're learning like it's not just an isolated incident. Yeah. Like you're learning how big the problem is and how widespread it is.
Dude, he had to be careful with that. Good lord. But like, along that, it's like he's he's essentially like Frankensteining them, like Frankenstein monstering them. He's lighting that on fire, and it's like they're afraid of
ghouls screaming. Yeah,
they're afraid of the fire. So it's like, it seems like essentially everybody was acting like a Frankenstein's monster. You know, like, oh god, like, you know, freaking fire's bad, that kind of thing. Whereas in the later ones, that's not really.
Yeah.
But
the zombies are so cool in this movie, and I love that there's just a random naked one walking around. Which would happen if
that kind of like became like a thing in like all of his films like later on too, where it's like it wasn't just like, you know, in a lot of zombie films where it's just like, yeah, they're just this or that. It's like every single one of them seems to have like a personality. Like one of them was like a band member, one of them was like a bank clerk, you know, because they like they got bit, turned what they were wearing. It's not like everybody would be like in the exact same stuff or be wearing like, you know, their finest. It's like, if you die as a zombie, you're in whatever you died as. It's like, you know, it's not like when you get buried and they like fix you up at a funeral home. So,
yep.
She's like, stop it, I'm trying to sleep.
Like, this is no time for a nap. Oh wait, she got punched to death.
She got like knocked the hell out. He's like, it's time to go to sleep.
It's like, that knuckle sandwich was delicious. More nailing action.
He's like about to pass out because he's been like freaking nailing the entire house shut.
And ripping the house apart for boards.
Yeah.
Time for a nice relaxing cigarette.
Yeah. A nice healthy cigarette. Now with 5,000 more leaves of tobacco.
Did you hear that HBO on the app, like when you scroll through the movie, there's like a poster image? They've been removing cigarettes and cigars from like posters.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Can you believe that?
Wow.
So like Chinatown, I think Jack Nicholson smoked a
cigarette.
Cigarette,
I forgot
but like
about
they
that.
just removed the cigarette, so he's just holding his hand up for no reason. Is it really that dangerous to show someone smoking from a movie where they were smoking?
It's also like from an older time too. It's like everybody knows the dangers of smoking at this point. So it's not like back then when like everybody was smoking, it was advertised to like kids in comic books and everything. It was like everybody was awesome. Smoking because it was like the thing to do, and it was like, oh, this is a nice refreshing cigarette, and
my health is restored or revitalized.
Yeah, cigarette antics.
There's some good smoking action in this movie too.
Cancertopia.
Nailing and smoking.
Yeah. Sounds like a good weekend. But like, it's one of those things where like, I mean, like, what would they do if, I guess if they got Columbo, would they like, every single poster, they would get rid of like him? Because he's like smoking a cigar in like almost every single one of the things. It's like, yeah. I personally think, I think that's kind of stupid. I don't understand the reasoning for that, because people have known for years that cigarettes are not healthy for you, and cigars are, you know, same thing. It's not like people are over here like, I don't know, unawares. But
this part creeped me out the first time I saw it. I thought she was gonna like turn into a zombie.
She still might. You never know. You've never seen this. If you've never seen this, we have, but
yeah, I guess spoilers.
She probably does at one point.
Like everyone should experience this movie first with the Buddy Shots commentary.
That's true. We'll give you the inside info that everybody knows. Yeah, she's literally...
Like you can see the individual knuckle bruises on her chin. That was a hell of a punch. Chin. You can.
Good lord. They went for the Holyfield over there. Hit her in the freaking
Sweet chin music.
Yeah. He's like, that is gross. I think it's kind of weird that, like, I guess the zombies, like, ate just her head and then left?
Yeah.
They left her entire body.
The corpse, played by Kyra Shan.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk about her more in a little bit.
Yeah.
But
and her
she
head's
actually
fine there.
plays 2 roles.
Ah.
Bit of trivia.
Oh, just for you guys. He's like, time to drag her into this back room.
It's such a shame that this house was like torn down because it would be so awesome to like go
They
visit.
could have made it into like a museum.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been sweet.
Can you imagine if they did that to like, I don't know, a lot of like places, like if they had done that to like the Lizzie Borden house or like, you know what I mean, places that are historic. It's like, this is a historic landmark. I think it's one of those things, sadly, back in the day.
I think they did do it to the Lizzie Borden house.
Oh, it's gone now?
Oh, no, sorry. I thought you meant that they got rid of it.
They tore it down while the murder was happening?
Because that's where my dad experienced a ghost.
Ah. They tore it down after that. They were like, wait, there's ghosts here? But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know, like, back then they weren't concerned with preserving film or film history. They were just like, on to the next thing. So it's honestly like, we're lucky that this is preserved just in general.
Yeah,
a lot
totally.
of films were like completely deleted or like not deleted, but
they hit the delete button.
yeah. Well, I guess they were deleted, but it's mainly that they were like what's the word? Erased. They were recorded.
They were destroyed,
Yeah.
just like thrown away in the trash.
And some of them were just burned. So it's like, and they used to use like highly flammable stuff to like store the canisters, so like fires would break out and they would just fucking go up. So, like at studios, I mean, not just in general. They would just go up. Sorry, guys.
All right, so we've got the introduction of the Cooper family.
Yeah. Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Exactly. That was my my username on IMDb back in the 90s, Mr. Cooper.
He was your favorite. You're a big fan of
You
Mr.
can still
Cooper.
look up my reviews
Yeah.
from the 90s under username Mr. Cooper.
You're like, fuck these guys. They didn't go into the basement. Every movie didn't have a basement. You were pissed. Mr. Cooper.
That's his thing. He just loves basements.
Yeah. So we got Mr. Cooper. Who's this guy played by? I don't know.
Carl Hardman.
He looks familiar, but he might just have a familiar face.
Like, I think I've seen him before.
Yeah.
In Night of the Living Dead.
Who's this guy?
That is, what's his name? Tom, played by Keith Wayne.
Okay. Tommy.
And Judith Ridley as Judy, his girlfriend.
Yeah, she's going to show up here in a minute. So they're having an argument here. And it's getting...
Yeah, from here on out, like, we learn that the most dangerous opponent is man.
Not enemy, not force opponent.
Yeah. The zombies are their opponents. It's like zombie versus man. Ding, ding.
Zombie versus man versus plane versus hovercar.
I guess Mr. Cooper was proven right, but he also like was killed by going in the basement. So
I mean, it could have gone either way. Honestly,
yeah,
like
it really could have.
To me,
how long could they survive down there?
Yeah, to me, it's best to have options. Like going straight into the basement is kind of a fool's errand, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's like your last ditch effort when all else has failed.
Yeah, which ends up happening in most things anyway. Because it's like you go down or you go up if the middle floor is like screwed, but. You don't want to get to that point. It's one of those things where it's like they used a lot of boards on the windows. It's like it probably would have been a better idea to like just board off a part of the house, but that's in hindsight, obviously.
Yeah, and it took all the way up until the remake for one of the characters to finally get it right. Like you could just walk past them.
Yeah. Because they're slow as hell.
Yep.
I mean, she ran all the way here, and he caught up, but it's like it took a while for him to finally get there. So, if you were running, you could like outrun every single zombie ever. It's just in numbers. I mean, if you were in an alleyway, you'd be screwed. But just make sure you go into an open area. Also, at this point, like, the numbers are in their favor. Hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
Much later in this series, that's not the case. This guy's kind of playing like the mediator, where he's just like, we got options here.
Not some of the strongest acting in the movie. I think he was like didn't do too much after this.
It's kind of like what's it called? Sci-fi character acting. Oh man, the angles. Whoa! I bet that made a lot of people scream.
Jump scare.
Yeah. I'll get that steak. Stab him vampire style. Is that a steak or a knife? I can't really tell what the hell's going on.
I think there was a steak. That effect I think is still pretty cool. Like the hand
Yeah.
getting kind of mushed up. Looks pretty real.
Oh, it was a knife. Okay. There were some boards there, and there was randomly a knife sitting there.
This part is pretty awesome. Like the realization that they can't be killed. Or they can only be killed with a shot to the head. Like that shot's so cool.
He's like, hey guys.
He's a zombie. And he's handsome.
Yeah, because he shot him right in the heart, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's like no big deal.
Some good squib action.
Like, wait a minute.
Double blast to the chest.
He just keeps doing that same thing where he looks like turns into James Dean.
Now this is a dramatic zombie.
Yeah.
He's like, I live again. Dude.
Shirtless.
Look at that. It's awesome. Zombie butt.
Yeah. Cover your eyes.
I'm like, there's no buts about it.
Yeah. What the hell is this guy doing?
I think this is when they start eating bugs, which is never really... I think that's the only time that happens in these movies, but
yeah,
that's just a good gross out gag.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like we were saying, they're kind of like establishing what the hell this even is. So.
They're acting ghoulish.
That's true. And then they act more zombie-ish as the franchise goes on.
They turn blue for a while in Dawn of the Dead, and then they turn back to other colors.
They go monsters on everybody.
Marilyn Eastman plays Helen Cooper, and I just noticed on her IMDb she has a signed picture. It's like, just so you doubly know
of herself.
It's Marilyn Eastman.
I should make an IMDb and have a signed picture of myself. What happened to Mr. Cooper? He bonked his head. He got slapped when he gave one too many bad reviews on IMDb. But yeah.
Now get the hell down.
We can go
great
down
line.
Hell
reading.
in the cellar whenever we want. Yeah, this guy turns into a rat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you talked about it before, your IMDb reviews, but everybody should definitely check them out. They're awesome. It's from a simpler time.
When you're in high school.
Yeah. Great writing. I wish you'd written many more, because anytime I've ever read them, they're so good. To start writing them again. As Mr. Cooper Jr. You gonna let them get up here too? What's going on? Yeah, this guy feels betrayed. He's just like, I've been screwed.
Ben is like, this is where he becomes the dominant character. Like he's like, you're not gonna mess with Ben. Mr. Cooper's like, I'm out. Cellar time.
He's got some prime cellar antics going on.
And another bit of trivia: this house did not have a cellar in it, so the cellar scenes were filmed in their office basement,
just like Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Where it was like a pit and nothing was in there. He's like, I'm not boxing myself in down there. I'm gonna smoke a nice, refreshing cigarette up here. Of course.
And our last main character is Karen Cooper, played by Kyra Shawn, who I had the pleasure of corresponding with over email in the 90s. Like, one of the first emails I ever sent was to Kyra Sean.
Because your email was Mr. Cooper, and she thought you were her dad.
No, but she wrote me back, and like she thought it was very cool that like someone would reach out to her about. This was like 1997, so
yeah,
the infancy of email. But it was cool to be able to email minor celebrities.
Is she still around? Like,
yeah,
doing conventions, I'm assuming.
I don't think she does conventions.
That's a shame. This is also like a super old film, and like obviously it's a cult film, so in the horror convention world, it's a classic. But she plays like a kid, so. I don't know. I mean, I would like to meet her. So, she's from a classic film. It's in the historical film wall, right? So, started a genre.
The Victorville Film Archive?
Yeah.
It is a popcorn classic.
This is one of those deals where it's like, this is also like the first occurrence of like, hey, somebody's like bit and like no one has told. It's like the... You see it a lot in films. It actually kind of happens in Dawn of the Dead where somebody gets bit. They everybody knows he's bit, but it's like they're kind of denying, you know. Some grundle action going on over there. And she finds out there's a radio, and she's like, "What the hell?"
Like, you are done, divorced.
And he's like, "Oh God." This guy's not having it. This guy's like, take me wig, Calgon. Speaking of which, they had all those cool commercials from that version.
One of them was a Calgon commercial. Yeah. George Romero and his company.
Where they like went inside a body. Or no, they went inside of like a washing machine, you know. There was another one where like some lady was like, no, some dude was mowing the lawn, and then a lady brought out some beers, and then she brought them for herself or something. I don't remember what was going on.
Yeah, so Romero, like, he worked at a place that made commercials, and some of the commercials were included on the DVD. One of them was for Duke Beer, which was that lawn mowing commercial.
I just thought that was really funny because it was like, it was from a totally different era, so it was like...
Where the wife is the servant to the man.
Yeah. I just thought it... Well, more so than that... Okay, what the hell? That was a weird jump cut.
Yeah.
I never realized that till now.
Yeah. It's a mistake.
Oopsie. Yep, 0 out of 9.95. Jump cuts are not allowed. But I never realized, you know, that he directed this. He told me. He didn't.
Yeah, he made documentaries and commercials.
Did he make any video games?
He was going to make the Resident Evil movie.
Ah. They should make a game based on that movie. Just like Mortal Kombat, the game based on the movie, based on the game. It's like, what? They played like utter shite.
Like, this basement's huge.
Yeah.
Looks like it could be in an office complex.
Looks like it could be not part of the house above it. I mean, honestly, that house is pretty big,
yeah.
So it's just...
I would never have known.
It's very rare to see a basement, especially these days, that isn't already cordoned off. Like, this is literally like the whole basement is one big room. But that was also a different time. He's like, just kidding, I lied. I said I was never coming up here again, but my wife, you know, told me. Everybody's like, she's turned into a child. Yeah, I have to go back on what I said earlier, man. I think that lends, like, a lot of... Okay, that was a straight up, like, 60s, like, shot where, like, the guy's, like, going manic or whatever. Where she's lending, like, stuff for everybody to play off, too, where it's like, especially the two women that see her are like, dude, what happened to her?
Yeah. I really like Helen Cooper in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I find her to be very believable. Like,
right.
She's trying to keep it together, like, fighting with her husband.
Yeah, smoking a cigarette.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
More smoking action.
Oh, yeah. Merry Christmas. Now, I have a question. Is she still around?
She passed away last year.
Oh, okay. Rest in peace. Great actress.
Yeah.
Not that I'm going to... Is this the podcast where I ask, or the commentary where I ask how many people are still alive? You know more about this than I do. wondering because watching this again, it's like, man, it'd be nice to kind of meet some of these people we already kind of have, but a lot of these people are kind of past.
I think we've met the ones who we're going to be able to meet.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll meet them in the end, in the eternity of death.
Ah, the eternity.
We'll become opponents.
Hashtag worm food. Her brother was killed. See, even Mr. Cooper at that point was like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Like, Mr. Cooper's not like a complete asshole. He's just like, he seems very stressed out. Like, he seems like the way that he copes with stress and like things not going his way is to just get super defensive and angry.
Yep.
That's why he's smoking a cigarette like that'll be his last. He's like expecting a fucking child, like walking back and forth. Oh, he's got like a video game system. He's got his rifle and a, TV. Oh wait.
Yeah, but to your point, like that's what makes him a good character because he's just not a straight up villain.
Yeah.
And he's not one of those characters who just exists to like argue with the main character or like point out why he thinks he's wrong.
Right.
He has a valid point. And they just disagree.
Yeah, like I think obviously like jokey there are straight up villains and stuff in movies. Like it's fun to play just like a mustache twirling.
Right.
But like that's not a realistic person, like
or like the Dennis Franz character in Die Hard 2. That's the one I always think of where like that character sucks. His only purpose in the movie is to tell McClane he's wrong about everything he does and be proven wrong.
Right.
It's like that's annoying.
He's not an actual character. Yeah. It's like
until the end when he tears up his parking ticket.
Yeah.
It's Christmas.
It's like what? If he had motivation, like
Merry Christmas.
McClane got his like wife or brother killed in the first movie or something.
Yeah.
I could see that, or like something happened in the past, but literally he's like, oh, this guy, the only reason I know anything about him is because he like saved the day.
Yep.
It's like what? But like, yeah, like we were saying, like good villains they don't think that they're doing anything wrong. I mean, obviously they think that they're trying to help people. They're just completely misguided.
Yep.
But they start to believe they're in bullshit. They're like, controversy creates cash.
You know what I'm thinking about this movie?
What?
It makes me want to smoke.
Smoke an unfiltered cigarette. This guy's like, yeah.
Nerdlinger over here.
Yeah.
I do like the radio and TV reports.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty chilling in this movie.
Oh, Youngstown. He's like, yeah, so, fuck it.
You have it.
That's what he said. Even though you can hear what he said by watching the film. You can buy it at the store. It's funny because, like, there's all these incidents that happen and people talk about it and stuff. And it's like Resident Evil 2 had that same thing where, like, you hear, like, the people's backstories and, like, you see little snippets of the same kind of outbreaks happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, dude, it's just piece it together. And even the first game, you read the little journals of people turning and stuff, and it's like...
Yep.
It's a...
Resident Evil 2 even referenced this movie with the diner scene in that cutscene.
The one where, like, they do the thing where, like, the person looks like they're going to shoot the person they just met, and they shoot the guy behind him. Like, I won't just tell you to, like, watch out, there's a zombie behind you. I'm going to shoot at you. But it's obvious.
George Romero cameo.
Nice.
No, I mean George Romero's on cameo.
He's like, give me money. So which one's Romero?
The guy on the left with the microphone.
Nice. Ah, yeah, you can see it.
Pre-beard.
If you can see him. Yeah, you would think he would be one of the the guy with the beard, but Romero had like a full head of hair. Essentially, like he
wasn't wearing his trademark vest.
I know, right? His fishing vest. That one guy next to him's like, oh, what the hell? He's like, I have something to say. Those that kill get up and kill.
He just said everything that can be done is being done. Somehow I disagree. I don't think that's true.
That's even back then. That's like Washington corporate bullshit speak. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Washington, the corporation. It's like just placate the masses and tell them to fuck off. We're gonna go get in our bunker. Well, at this point,
that's
it's
why.
so
Oh,
early.
sorry.
I was gonna say at this point it's so early.
Right. That's why I think Dawn of the Dead is a good escalation from this, because like
Yeah.
the opening scene of that, basically everything is breaking down. Like chaos is starting to take over, and it's super scary.
Just like DX, break it down. At this point, these people are like, well, you know, this could just be an isolated incident because, like, you know, we're being totally screwed, but, you know, they're able to just drive around Washington. But then you start, like, hearing other stuff happening, and it's like, okay, well, This guy's like, I was in Creature from the Black Lagoon 3. My acting is wonderful. I'm totally hamming it up here. Everybody else is pretty nuanced except for Mr. Cooper, but that's because that's who he is. This must have been the age of glasses.
Oh yeah, man.
Then again, I guess
glasses.
that's pretty much everybody wears glasses I know.
You're like 4 eyes.
Yeah, I'm like, you sick person. Everybody I know wears glasses. With pride. It's cool to be a geek now, though. It's different than it was. She's like, I don't know about that. Ben's like, what's up?
So you remember the first time you saw this movie?
Yeah, your house.
What were your thoughts back then?
I'm trying to think. I mean, honestly, like, there was so many special features on the DVD, I was almost more blown away by that.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have a DVD player. I think that was what made me, like, beg my parents for one.
Mm-hmm.
And our first DVDs were Mortal Kombat, I think Annihilation or 2 or whatever it was.
Oh, man, that's brutal.
As Good as It Gets, which is like an awesome film.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we got one other film. Maybe we just got 2 because we went to Circuit City and DVDs back then were like hella expensive.
Oh yeah, it was crazy expensive.
Now they're like free essentially.
Now they're trash, basically.
Yeah. But I remember like I went over to your house and you had a bunch of people over. I can't remember who all was there, but I remember it was quite a few people, and we were all kind of just chilling and stuff and watching the film. At least from what I remember, maybe that was the remake that we watched with a bunch of people. Maybe it was just
we watched them all together.
But I mean, I can't remember if like there were multiple people
Mm-hmm.
at your house for this one.
Mm-hmm.
But
because we all became huge zombie fans. Freshman year of high school.
yeah, I don't know why. I only remember just the 2 of us, but I'm sure there were multiple people there. But anyway, like when I watched the film, I wasn't really sure what to make of it at first, because it's like black and white and it's slow kind of as far as like, you know what I mean, during this part of the film. But I think the beginning and end of it kind of shocked the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, I was saying like with you, like I had never seen, like I didn't really watch horror movies either,
Mm-hmm.
and like my parents weren't really into that kind of stuff, and you know. Yeah, it was just like, you know, what was really out there horror movie wise, and even if there was anything that was, you know, kind of out there, my parents weren't really, they were never into that kind of stuff. So, but I watched this, and you know, it's like this, and then of course I also had access to all the other ones that he had made, so it was like, you know, continuing with like Dawn of the Dead, and then Day of the Dead, and like all the other ones that are out there, so definitely was a huge fan.
Yeah, it was so fun, like, because this kind of unlocked the door to the horror genre for me,
Mm-hmm.
to like learn that it had a sequel and another sequel, like, whoa. I mean,
It was probably bad that I watched this first, honestly, because like now I'm a huge snob when it comes to horror movies.
yeah,
I
for
call
real.
most of them trash.
That is a shame to start with one of the best.
But, I mean, there's also, like, Carpenter, which I eventually found out about, probably thanks to you and stuff, and started watching those films. Another master.
I'm trying to think of the first DVDs we had. I know GoldenEye was one of them.
Oh, wow.
We had, like, GoldenEye, maybe Air Force One.
Discover the Water.
And Discover the Depths.
Air Force One? I don't remember that movie.
With Harrison Ford, where he's the president.
Sounds familiar.
Get off my plane.
Kind of it's like Executive Decision for some reason. I get those two confused, I think.
They're both action movies on planes.
Yeah. I don't know why I thought that you had Laserdisc at one point, but I think you told me you guys never had Laserdisc.
Nope.
But it seemed like something you guys would have owned. Kind of shocking.
Skipped over that one.
It's probably
but we were lucky enough to be early adapters of DVD, and I've been a fan ever since.
Until last night.
They don't make them like they used to. I still have the Elite DVD of this, which
do you have the
I got
30th
signed by
anniversary?
George Romero.
You have the 30th anniversary one?
No,
that you gave to me because you were like, this sucks.
I'm like, this is either going in the trash or you may want to check it out.
I was like, oh, okay, I'll take it. And I watched it and I was like, what the fuck?
It did have that cool music video special feature.
I was just thinking of that. Yep, he's
back in the days of the 90s where they would just put a techno remix down and put clips, repeat clips over it, and it could not be any more annoying than that.
Yeah, I was like, ugh.
I'm glad those days are gone.
Yeah. We'll just start a new trend, buddy techno. Fuck that. Hate techno. Anyway, techno has nothing to do with this, thank God. This guy is like acting his ass off. And she's like, huh?
I think either he's on the commentary or someone on one. There's multiple commentaries on this, but
I thought you were going to say he's on crack.
Someone pointed out like his blinking action.
Yeah.
Like his acting style is just over blinking.
Cool. Now I'm never going to not do that. Ridiculous! What the frig, dude? He's like trying to signal somebody. He's like, help me!
He's blinking in Morse code.
Yeah. My God. He's like, time to kiss. By closing my eyes. Not all people close their eyes when they kiss. Come on, man.
Yeah, most people make direct eye contact, locked in, unblinking.
Most people are humanoids that kiss. Like, okay, we want you. How about you hold down the fort? Everyone here but you is gonna leave. We'll be right back. Here's a gun. It's like, just kidding.
Like Johnny called. He said he's coming. Don't worry. Johnny called. He wants his shirt back.
Johnny shows up. He does the RVD like, Johnny. It's like, okay.
It's a frog splash for some reason.
Yeah. I think Johnny got his name from his uncle Johnny. Johnny Lawrence.
Careful with those nails, boys.
Yeah.
You're going to get tetanus.
They're about to get their freaking... Dude. So they ripped them off by hand like that. Like, the zombies are going to rip them apart instantly.
And they do.
Like them, not the boards. Dude, that shot where he just like looks at her, it's like, dude, this is straight up sci-fi. Now I can't stop ripping on the poor man.
Like, this amateur actor isn't amazing.
This amateur actor is in a timeless classic. What a loser.
Groaning and wheezing. I'm like...
Sounds like a bad Friday night.
Oh.
He brings out the torch. They're like, dude, why'd you light that in here? Holy shit. Everybody's like choking to death on smoke.
Do you think this plan would have worked if not for Mr. Cooper's cowardice?
I honestly don't remember what happens.
Ah, it's like watching for the first time.
Oh, yes. My question is, what the fuck was that? Then my question is...
Cool.
Yeah. So he has to keep throwing them out the window because they disappear?
Yeah. It's like a video game. They only have a limited action time.
Oh, man. Half a man is on fire. He's like... I think he desperately wasted those for no reason. Like, he threw all 4 of them out the window, like, and the only thing that's left is, like, a tiny little puddle there of fire.
It's like the lunch lady zombie.
Do you think this was a bad idea for her to go to, or?
Well, she hesitates right here. That's her fatal flaw.
His face.
Ben is like, what is this, amateur hour over here?
I know. Peter Falk here in his trench coat. He's like, one more thing.
We're about to see some of your favorite day for night shots coming up here.
Oh, yeah?
There's a couple of them. Not great, unfortunately, but that's the way it went. Back in the day.
Day for night, I feel like, is never great.
No.
Ah, a dog smooch. Gloria. Good Lord. They're doing the backup antics here. Yeah, I was going to say we could move this over a little bit. She's like, nah. Yeah, here's some... Is this where you're talking about? Day for night right here? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like... It kind of reminds me of, like, westerns that I've seen, like TV shows, where they're trying to do, like, day for night, and it looks like... Not very convincing.
Yeah. It never works.
I think this is actual night right here,
Yeah.
it seems like.
You'll notice.
That's a great idea. Shoot a fucking gas tank. Good Lord, dude, what are you doing? Good Lord.
Yeah, this plan was probably doomed from the start, but, like, just too many mistakes were made.
Well... I feel like it's not like a horrible idea. It's just like, why in the hell?
Got a little overzealous with that pump.
Yeah, the gas. It's like, it's funny speaking of that, like, we went to like on a trip one time, and like, it was super, super hot, like in the hundreds, where we were, and we were all at the gas station, like getting, the car filled up, and we were pretty much done, and some dude drove off with the pump, like the thing on his car, and it ripped the thing out, and gas started spraying everywhere.
Oh,
my dad's like, time to go. Because it was so hot, it was like, you never know what was going to happen, so. Hopefully that gas station didn't blow up.
And R.I.P.
Yeah. They, like, disappeared. Like, completely, they, like, evaporated. Like, they're no longer existing.
Well, we're about to find out that parts of them do exist.
Parts of them!
They're about to be eaten. And the classic dinner scene. Zombie dinners, that is.
Is this... I'm assuming this is before, like, he knows that shooting him in the head is the way to kill him. That is our bad shot.
Yeah, I think that's more what it is.
I agree. A growling.
I think I heard a zombie moan.
I know, right? It's a groan. It's a growl. Looks like he's like running. Oh, okay, he's running away from the barn. It looked like he was running away from the house. I was like, what?
I love those shots though. They're just so cool.
Yeah.
See all surrounded by zombies. And now Mr. Cooper makes his fatal mistake.
His fail mistake. Yeah, I don't understand this. Like, why he just kinda...
He's too afraid to open the door. Now he's going to pay with his life.
He's going to be killed.
He is.
It's like, okay. It's like, time to put a door on a door. Door antics. He should have tried to, like, jump through the window and, like, broke his neck. Because the boards were there. I'm sure that would have worked. Crushed his spine like a sack of dimes. So those two characters that were essentially useless are no longer in the movie.
Yep. They're done.
He's like, time to beat your ass. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I'm gonna
okay.
beat you to death. You're done.
Yeah, I'm like, Jesus.
No more table.
Literally.
This is a good beating, though.
He's just like taking it. He's not even like trying to like fight back because I think
Why would he?
I don't know. To not get a beating? I guess. Why would you fight back when you were getting your ass beat?
Ben is too powerful.
Well, the guy didn't even swing. That doesn't mean that he couldn't like punch back. He's just like turns into like a board. But I think the guy is. I think he subconsciously knows that he fucked up.
Yeah.
You know, or not subconsciously. Their bodies disappeared, then reappeared inside for a feast. That fire went out.
Yeah, when I first saw this, I was like, "You can do this in a movie? Like show people eating like bodies? Like
you can do this in a movie? You can eat people out of a car?
Yeah, I couldn't believe
that one's eating a bone. It's like, did one of them turn straight into a bone? This is probably the grossest shit. Like right here, they're just like flopping guts all over the place. The guy's like, I'm gonna just cut away. I don't want to actually eat this. Look how the guy looked right at the camera.
Yeah,
he's like, you seeing this shit?
Time for my close-up.
Yeah. He's like, Mr. DeVille. Oh, this is gross as fuck.
Some hand skin.
That's pretty gross too.
He's like, a wonderful night for a feast.
He's getting sick is what he saw.
I've got a craving for Kentucky Fried Chicken right now for some reason. How about you?
Probably be more gross than what they're eating.
Like, well, it's over.
Freaking ass beating. Yeah, she's just like gone. She is devolved into a baby. Yeah, at this point it's like he's essentially like still in control. Mr. Cooper's like pretty much worthless. She's like, well, it's just like, I don't know. They're barely hanging together.
Yep, things are looking pretty desperate.
You're gonna carry a child a mile.
And this is where you find out that she's been bit.
Yeah.
Can't be good.
It's also like one of those things where like Mr. Cooper's essentially, I mean, he got punched a bunch. He's pissed. You know, he's pushing back against everything.
Yeah, I mean, Ben basically made him wear the cuckold's horns at this point, so.
But it's one of those things where like, as if they didn't already have tension amongst themselves, like, what the fuck?
I found a slinky.
Good old juggle. But if they didn't already have somewhat tension before, it's like that beating didn't help, and now it's like everything, you know, is kind of like just, you know, because he was essentially like, you know, we can't carry this child, and it's like, dude, that's your fucking daughter. Like, I got this guy again.
We just saw it with that shot of the zombie eating, but I do want to point out, like, the lighting in this movie is really cool.
Yeah.
Like, there's lots of cool shadows, especially in the early scenes in the house and all the outdoor scenes. Like, it just has a cool look to it.
And you can see, like, what's happening when it's dark out.
Yeah.
Like, they lit the movie properly.
Yeah.
And with intent.
Romero's an artist, man. And he had a good team with him. I do highly recommend listening to the commentaries because they're group commentaries, and it's basically like a get-together of old friends, like reminiscing about good times, which is always kind of fun to listen to.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But I think the making of this movie was really hard, but also really fun because they basically camped out in that house and lived there while they were making the movie. Like, how fun would that be?
Reminds me of, like, Evil Dead. That sounds like a pain in the ass, but it's like you're making it with friends. So
Right.
we did that a lot back in the day. We would make films and stuff, but we just never. I don't think we ever finished one of them. But we were kids, so we weren't like full-grown men making films. This guy here with the fedora and the 3 cigars.
He's prepared.
That guy's like you. He's ready to go.
That's George Costanza as the sheriff.
Dude, he's got like a ton. He's got like a, what's that called? What's that called? Like with the bullets, like on.
Like a belt of ammo?
Yeah. It's got a name, but I can't remember what it is.
And that guy is Bill Cardille, the father of Laurie Cardille from Day of the Dead.
Nice.
But he was a real, like, news guy in Pittsburgh. So he was, like, playing himself. But
yeah, I think that's one thing that's legit is, like, essentially, George Romero always was down, like, using people from Pittsburgh and stuff, like, people that were friends, or, like, in Day of the Dead, almost all the zombies were, like, people from Pittsburgh. Like, I think, like, the mayor or, like, that kind of a thing was a part of the stuff at one point. Because they just wanted to be in a George Romero, like, film. So it's like, and they would do favors because he's essentially, like, a hometown hero.
Yep.
It's like, that, and he's a nice guy. I mean, obviously, just because if you're from someplace, if you're, like, a jerk, they wouldn't be like, hell yeah, but, you don't hear anything bad about him. Until now. Just kidding. I
really like what Tom Savini said on the Day of the Dead commentary, like, when he was talking about how much, like, they all loved and respected Romero, like,
yeah,
they would have done anything for him, just
right.
because, like, he was that kind of guy. Like, a good leader, but also, like, ultimately respectful and, like, collaborative.
Right.
So, like, that's that's what you want in a leader.
Yeah. Just in general, like, he always, I don't know, everybody's had that, like, boss or, like, a person that's above them that, like, uses, like, yelling to get their way.
Right.
It's like all it does is make people, like, pissed off and complain and eventually, like, leave. So, he's like George Romero.
The zombies are adapting. They're using tools now.
It's like, wait a minute.
More shadows.
Yeah. Shadow effects. Shadows with a shadow move.
But this is the point, like, if I was in this house, I'd be like, I'm out, dude. Like, they're pounding on the walls now, like...
You just kill yourself?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm out. I'm just leaving through the back door, because that was an option. Dude, that guy gave no shit.
He was struggling to lift that brick.
Yeah. It's like, put your back against the door. That's a shocking feat. Yeah, this is where, like, Mr. Cooper is, like, deathly afraid. It's like, this guy is essentially like the male version of what's her name? Like Judith Hogue, or not Judith Hogue, that's
Barbara.
Yeah, Barbara. Like, he's terrified. Like you were saying, you can tell. It's like,
now he's done, dude.
yeah. Yeah. He is. For all time. It's like she can just watch because she's like, well, what the hell can I even do? Because, like, he's being an idiot. Like, my husband's... like,
he's gonna get them all killed.
Yeah, he pulled a freaking gun on somebody else that all he's been doing is, like, helping. She doesn't even try to help because she knows, like, he fucked up.
It is really cool to see Ben just, like, murder him in cold blood. He's like, enough's enough, dude. You're gone.
Yeah.
Like,
what just happened?
I've been shot.
He, like, stands up against gravity somehow. It's like, huh? It's time to go downstairs where it's safe. Where do you get shot at? In the tummy?
Yeah. The tum-tum.
Yeah. He's like, oh.
Ghouls groaning.
I like how as soon as he got shot, it applied a thick layer of eye makeup. He's like, oh. I mean, at the end of the day, you see where like his priorities lied to like watch over his daughter. So it's like he loved her. It's just I feel like a lot of times it's
Cemetery
hard.
Zombie got a haircut. Did you notice that?
Yeah, it's like crew cut, man. But it's like his priorities were definitely to, keep his daughter alive.
Yep.
Just showed it in his own way. Okay.
Like, she wasted no time getting to the eating action.
Yeah.
Like, she was hungry.
She instantly ripped his arm off.
She's eating like dogs.
Poor baby. Baby gasping. Another instance of ghouls using tools. Ghouls and tools! That's what they should have called this movie. Rip.
This is pretty brutal stuff, even by today's standard, and like they do have a weird thing where her voice goes like artificially high pitched,
yeah,
which just adds extra creepiness to it.
It's weird because like it's definitely just like didn't happen, like it's for like the film.
Look at that shot. That's great.
But like they do something like that actually like
an artistic
practically happens in Day of the Dead when they like stretch the guy's fucking head from his body and it's like his vocal cords like go up. It's
tough stuff.
Fucked up. No. Oh shit.
Johnny's back
with the leather glove.
He's a badass now that he lost his glasses.
He's like, Thriller. She gone.
Do you think it would be better or worse to be killed by a zombie of someone you knew?
I don't know. I never really thought about it. It would probably be worse. I would assume. He's like, I'm not coming in through the front door.
He's like, it's Miller time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just in general,
You're like, I choose not to be killed at all.
having to confront, like the fact that someone that you know or love is dead.
Yep.
And then not only that, but like they're trying to kill you. I think that's how most people don't survive these movies, is because they can't process it, or like they don't know that the person, is a zombie and they're already gone. You know what I mean? They try to save them. So, but the people that can, definitely, that's their turning point, and they become like, able to. Because if you kill someone you love, you can kill anybody. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's what makes that scene in Dawn of the Dead so effective. Like when Roger comes back.
Right.
Like, that's pretty haunting stuff.
Yeah. There's some class acting in that too, with like the way that people act as zombies. Like,
oh yeah.
It's like, good lord, these people were like, they're like some of the greatest actors of all time. That freaking door's got a heartbeat. Oh, it's the heart of the movie. He's like, what? How'd this guy die?
He's like, good lord, what happened down
He's
here?
like, I shot him so hard that his arm fell off. Oh, shit. He can't do it now. He's like, oh, I can only kill this guy when he's alive.
He made sure the deed was done.
Yeah. He's like, damn, this sucks. Mr. Cooper was my best friend.
I think, like, yes, this movie's a little bit dated, but, like, this stuff holds up, I think. Like, this is scary stuff, even by today's standards. Like, these bodies coming back.
Yeah.
It's like, dude.
Yeah, it's definitely, like, I don't know. I always felt like this was my least favorite of all of them, but, like, watching it again, like, it's definitely, like...
It's so good. I mean, it's a classic for a reason. It's great. We should have just said that. Like, it's great. Commentary over.
Wheezing. Yeah, that would have been entertaining. Ghouls groan. Then they wheeze. It's like, okay, dude, we get it.
Or shadow action.
Yeah. Shadow action. Oh, no, Shadow's gone. But what about you? I would assume it'd probably be the same for you as far as like being killed by somebody you know or whatever.
Yeah, that's a pretty horrifying idea.
Yeah. What's like I was saying, like people that can kill someone they know can kill anybody. It's like you hear about serial killers that are like they kill an animal or something. It's like if you can kill an animal, you can kill a person. I essentially feel like, because like most people have, you know what I mean, like great affection for animals. But oh man, here comes it.
The night is finally over.
Yeah,
the dawn has begun.
The darkest day the world has ever seen. In Resident Evil 5, you will be afraid of the dark. I mean, the day.
Somewhere out in these fields, Children of the Dead is also happening.
Yeah, true.
Tom Savini's running around using style points to kill zombies.
Scratch his fingernails. It's like, hey,
going for a ride.
Surprise. We'll have to do a commentary on that at some point, or watch it or something. I was talking to Trav about that. He brings that up every once in a while because it's so ridiculous. Such a good laugh. Definitely not like this film. Get out the dogs.
Seems like these guys have it under relative control.
Yeah. And then things get completely fucked up.
Yeah, it won't last.
After night. Kind of ends on like a hopeful note that like, oh, we kind of like clean things up, and then if you're watching these other films in Dawn, it's like you were saying, things started breaking down, and you know, it's like an every man for themselves kind of scenario. Mm-hmm. You've got, you know, cops and other people breaking rank and just going off on their own and stuff, and like essentially they'll confront each other, but like they're like, well, what are we gonna do? You know, there's no reason to fight these other people. They're in the same position as us.
The first time I saw this ending, like, it was truly stunning. I had no idea what was gonna happen. Like, I was like, oh man, he finally made it. Like, Ben made it through the night.
Yeah, it's a pretty like shocking and classic ending.
Yeah.
It's very controversial too for like, you know, people. Everybody has their own theory about like what, you know, what actually happened. If people knew, or if, you know, it was done for this reason. But
coming up, watch out! One of these zombies takes a huge fall, and it's pretty impressive. He lands on his own face.
Falls down into the Marianas Trench. Underwater.
Somebody had a cookout here. Great line.
He's like,
my God, it smells delicious.
He's like, you know, I hear some quacking. Yeah, he's like, you hear some people, I think, talking and stuff. So he's like, okay, well, this is some good news. Nothing can go wrong.
This guy's like,
yeah, he's like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what? Do you think he would have, like, things would have went differently if he would have just stayed down there, or?
This guy right here. Ah!
He falls into a trench and they just cover him up.
He's a dead one.
I'm like, aren't they all dead ones? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I think it was just unfortunate timing that he like popped his head out when he did. Like,
he's like,
he was like, boo!
The time that we tried to do that in a zombie film. Oh, God. Yeah, it looks like Sean Penn a little bit. Maybe not. Maybe. I'm just wrestling with shadows. That look.
No!
Yeah, it's a little like I mean, not a little shocking. It is shocking, especially because it's like
pretty bleak stuff.
Yeah, you wonder. It's like, didn't you like? How could you have not seen that he had a gun?
Yeah.
I don't know. I also like for some reason remembered that he like shouted out to them. I think that's my thing too. Is like, things probably would have went differently if he would have like said something like I'm here, like since they can't talk. But
I mean, these end credits are pretty great too, because not only does he get blown away, like you see him getting meat hooked and then roasted. It's like, dude,
right?
this is crazy.
Like
crazy way to end a movie,
right? Like, and it's like they took like your essentially like they're showing like, oh, this is like photographic evidence, for this real life event. And it's like, dude, this is messed up, because it's like this kind of stuff, like you could see this being actually photographed. You know what I mean? Chili Billy Cardell. Yeah, it's one of those endings. It's definitely like a downer, but it's not like I didn't feel like robbed. You know what I mean? Like some movies where I've watched where like something happens and I'm like, dude, that was a cop out. It was like it was done in such a way where it's like, damn, like pretty shocking, and in a good way. I mean,
it provoked you.
Oh man, there's a cemetery zombie right next to him. His hair got grew back. grew back. Light those torches. Get those people in the back, way in the back. It's like Jesus.
There you have it.
Yeah, that was
Night of the Living Dead.
I wonder how they like did this, because there's like a leg sticking out. I'm assuming that's a zombie.
Well,
yeah, so that was our commentary for Night of the Living Dead, 50 years. So thanks for joining us,
thanks for listening.
guys.
It was fun.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll do many more of these. I guess, do you have anything else to say?
It's been fun.
It has.
Until next time.
Yep, we'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.